Welcome to your daily dose. My name is Robert, and I'm here with my friend Kelly Papesh. Kelly, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Kelly, we've known each other. I was trying to do, in my mind anyway, at least to the 20 teens. It seemed
Mhm.
like we were crossing paths all over the place in Las Vegas. And at that time, were you, who were you working with when I got to know you? Were you working with Lou Ruvo at the time?
Yeah, I was at Lou Ruvo Center in Cleveland Clinic
Okay.
in Las Vegas. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, that
2017 is when we first met.
is that okay? So we're coming up on 10 years.
Yeah,
So what was it at the initial screening? Because that's about when we did second base, I think.
I think you're right. I think that's how we first got
Oh,
introduced. You
that's
guys were
funny.
there. You were living there at the time.
That's right. Not
Yep.
at Lou Ruvo, but Las Vegas.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny to reflect back on that. It was a spectacular night. Our good friend Ruth Almain helped put that on. And Ruth was just a spearhead for that because not only did we have this whole, baseball motif, we had bouncy houses, we had all this stuff that
Yes.
was just, it was a carnival,
Yes. So wonderful. Yes.
and again, just a shout out to the folks at Lou Ruvo and Keep Memory Alive for making that happen. And I think it was a great community introduction for Dad and I because we had made the first film, what about 12 years prior to that, and this was it was a different type of film because we moved from what was the idea of hey a cure within 10 years to now it's like oh quality of life, and that's really squarely your business, right? I mean, from your work you're all about quality of life for people with Parkinson's and movement disorders. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just have to say what you've done with this, you're right. You've brought community into it, but you also it's so hopeful and it's so fun to watch because we know that you can live well with Parkinson's, and that is what we try to do. I'm a nurse practitioner. I am fortunate enough to spend time and quality time with patients when I see them clinically. And I think one of the overarching goals in our care, I'm generally speaking, but is really improving quality of life and allowing someone to live really well with Parkinson's disease. Mhm.
Yeah, that's tricky, and we talk about it all the time because there is the clinical medical side of Parkinson's, which absolutely baseline. Thankful to the movement disorder specialists, the neurologists, the pharmacists, the folks who get all of that in, and there's a massive gap of when it comes to quality of life and how to live. What you're because you have all that space in between.
I am also personally affected by this because my father-in-law has Parkinson's disease. Um, and my father-in-law was diagnosed in 2018 with Parkinson's disease, a year after I started working in the
Mm.
field, which is so interesting because in hindsight, I'm like, oh my God, it was like right in front of me. But you just don't see it. And he didn't live in the same state. Right. So you kind of, I don't know if I was too close to it. I just didn't, yeah, I didn't see it. And then all of a sudden it was like blatantly obvious. Um,
Yeah, I think that's very common to that story. That like you say, either you're around people to the point, and this is the common question too: what's Parkinson's and what's aging? Right? Sometimes we throw everything in the Parkinson's bucket, and other times we go, well, aging. There are certain things that happen as well. Obviously, there are cardinal signs and things that make things Parkinson's and types of progression in response to pharmaceuticals, right? That's usually one of the easiest ways we have to say, oh yeah, that tells us almost for sure you're having a dopamine deficiency.
right.
But yeah, I think it's really good, and I appreciate having this conversation so that people know that it's okay to be, if not okay, it's somewhat common to be confused, to have to get multiple diagnoses and multiple tests, and that it's a journey. And by the way, the good news is along the way, no matter where you are, support groups, and I mean groups like what you do and people like you are out there to say we can talk about this. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the most amazing thing. This community in the Parkinson's world is so resilient, so amazing, and so connected. It feels like a really small little town, right? We're all connected in this community, and it's beautiful. I love that. I love this field. Hmm.
Well, tell me about AMDAPP. They are the Association of Movement Disorder Advanced Practice Providers. I need to see that, so I got it
Wow.
right. Not an easy acronym,
No.
but tell me about AMDAPP and what you all stand for and why you exist.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that's exactly why we shortened it to AMDAPP. We hope that rolls off a little bit easier. Um, we really did uh, build this, and the vision for this was that we wanted to be able to connect to our peers. We wanted to find out where are the other people who do exactly what I do, and it's like we manage care, we provide education, we see sometimes majority of patients, or at least all the follow-up patients in many clinics. We perform procedures. We are invested in these patients' lives, and it can be it's a very challenging job, right? Parkinson's is head to toe. We're dealing with a lot. And so when you find your peer community, you feel a little bit uplifted, you feel inspired, you feel like I'm not doing this alone. You guys understand what I'm going through. Um, I always feel like the physicians, I mean, this isn't everyone, like they are often involved in follow-up care as well. But very often we are handed a patient after diagnosis and we take the hand of that patient and we are with them throughout their entire journey. We see the ups and downs, we see the changes, we see what's coming. We make recommendations, referrals. We are working with the patient, the family, everybody involved in that care. And it's a lot, but it's so much easier when we have a community of people around us. And so AMDAPP now is just over 250 members. We are not quite 3 years old yet. We have just last week held our annual meeting, and we had over 100 advanced practice providers in one space. It was so fun. It was beautiful in Charleston. Um, and it just left us feeling like this on this high of like, okay, we know what we need. Our community wants um, practical information and education from our peers. We want to be involved and get a seat at the table. We want to be able to, um, learn from each other, but also engage in research and take part in all of these different things. And from one another's experience, we can learn how to do that. AMDAPP now provides a certification for people living with movement disorders. So if you are a nurse practitioner or a PA in movement, you can get certified, which we believe will help, put a little star on the map so that when there's this incredible access issue that we face, you can see who else is out there providing specialized care in movement disorders. And it's sometimes the nurse practitioners and PAs who are the gift to the community.
Oh, no doubt. My dad's NP with the Veterans Association has been his incredible point of contact. Has made all the difference in the world. We're thrilled with his neurology and movement disorder people are wonderful, but when day to day or like more hand touch, NP Marisol Jackson at Martinez VA is our woman. I mean, she really it's hard to quantify as a caregiver how important the role of the NP in is, and you being an NP as well. Thank you for everything you do, because I think in all of medicine, one of the most painful feelings for people going through it, whether you're the person with the condition or the care partner, is feeling like you're lost in the crack or the gap, that you're
Yeah.
left behind, that nobody can see you the way you need to be seen or heard.
Absolutely. I mean, caregivers and care partners are deeply affected by Parkinson's disease with their loved one, along right with them, right? And they benefit from strong, connected communities. This is not something that can be navigated alone. It takes all of the networks to play the critical role. I mean, in social connection, reducing isolation for both the person living with Parkinson's and the care partner. It's so important. It helps with um, coping and it helps strengthen quality of life in everybody. That's one thing that I love about the film that you're doing. It shows this social connection. It's talks really about, which I care so deeply about, is not losing your identity. The disease does not define you, and there's still a purpose. There's a sense of belonging. There's, your mental well-being. There's all of these things that matter so much. And I love that Boys of Summer and all of the other films that you put together have shown that. Like, there's a purpose. And you're not just a Parkinson's disease patient, you're someone living with Parkinson's and doing great things. Mhm.
I appreciate that because I could see firsthand for my dad how easily, he could be lost in the space as certain things are taken away from him. Who am I if I don't have my golf game, if I don't have the ability to drive these identifiable pieces of self? Why do I matter? What's left in this world for me? And, so one of the things Boys of Summer has done for us, not only, of course, in the times we have gone out on the adventures that get shown in the documentaries, now coming up on our fourth that will premiere at the World Parkinson Congress, but it's the times in between where we can kind of highlight and show the films like we're doing next week at the Lou Ruvo Center, that those Q&A periods are so important to share. My dad won't be able to be there, but when I show him that and he hears that other people are positively impacted and care, we've been talking for a while about legacy. I mean, I want my dad to continue to know he's not defined by Parkinson's, just like, in the film. Yeah, certainly we're talking about it, but we're showing the agency, we're showing the person, the humor, all of the relationship, right? Because that's the part that matters. The Parkinson's is a part that needs to be dealt with. The person needs to be celebrated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I love that. I think you're exactly right. That's how I see it too. And I think one thing that storytelling through film can do, it's humanizing the experience of living with Parkinson's, and it's bringing out that, it's a really, it's a really human thing. This isn't, chronic illness and disease such as Parkinson's. It carries so many invisible burdens like stigma. Of course, the isolation we talked about, misunderstanding, but this humanizes everything. And that's so important so that other people see that and feel like, oh, yeah, that's me.
You're familiar with Bradley McDaniel's work and what he does. I mean, demoralization in particular. He's become a really good friend. His mom with Parkinson's. Here we all are, right, with loved ones in our family. When he put a pin on that word, that's part of the fourth film. But it really struck to, you mentioned chronic illness, because it's the thing with Parkinson's. It's not like you just accept it once and go, okay, I have it. I mean, that might be it for a while, but then it progresses, and you get reminded. You're like, oh, it's a new thing. It's another thing, and there's the fear of a tipping point of when will it be too much, right? And you can't know until you're there. It's one of the things that actually comes up in Shortstop in this film. My dad and I cut the conversation kind of short because it went in a direction I wasn't comfortable sharing at the time. I talk about it now after the fact, but he mentions how important his independence is to him and says flatly, I don't know if it's worth living without it. And we had a very frank conversation about assisted suicide afterward, which I'm now more comfortable to bring up. But at the time, I'm like, yeah, I'm not putting that in the film. That's not where I'm going to go with this. But as his son, as a caregiver, it's like, okay, let's talk about it. What are you feeling? Do you think you know what the threshold is? And, it's been interesting over the years. Had you presented to him what he would be like, he might have said, looking at his future self, go, oh no, I don't want to do that. But now living it, I'll give you an example. Tonight, we're going to see Epic Elvis on the big screen, and he's so excited. He loves Elvis, and here's this new movie that's, reclaimed Elvis from the mid-'70s in Las Vegas, and he's so excited. And I'm like, you see, day by day,
finding joy. Yeah,
that's it. Those things are there.
Yeah, it's a lot about dignity, though, right? And demoralization, I think that's it's a big word. It encompasses a lot. And we think about like anticipatory grief and things like that, right? That's what you're kind of mentioning, both from everybody, right? My mom was a care partner to my dad for 7 years, and she had a lot of anticipatory grief. My dad did as well. So I think in both parties, and everybody involved, there is a sense of that. But I love that you talk openly with your dad about it. I think that helps. I think bringing the conversation out, it's not so scary.
Yeah. Well, and you hopefully then can say, okay, now that we've accepted the thing, are there steps we can take? Are there things we can do to not just, like you said, get lost in the fear of the future? Well, I'm still here now. I'm not there. And have you ever done rock climbing before?
I have.
Okay, so this. This is a fascinating thing that I did it for a commercial shoot, didn't know anything about it, but I had to learn on the fly. And you look at the rock and you're like, that's impossible. There's no way. And then you go and you get one handhold, right? And one foothold. And all of a sudden you go, oh, well, I could do that. And then all and you get up there and you go, oh, well, I didn't notice that before, but I could do that, right?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
a great metaphor. And by the way, rock climbing has become quite a thing for
it
Parkinson's,
has.
you
Yeah, it's
know. So
amazing.
you know what I mean about, right? The thing that seems
Absolutely.
impossible.
It's like small steps. You're right. No, yes, I love that. You're right. Like getting to one point. Okay, now we're here. Let's reflect.
Hmm.
Where are we at? What can we do? We can keep going up. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because that next foothold, handhold, it looks like a sheer wall if you try to look at the whole thing, right? Much like the fear of the future might be, but actually there is room to navigate. And oh my God, you know this feeling when you do get the top of wherever you're going, that view will change your life.
Amazing.
You
You're
know.
right. Absolutely.
Well, look, I know we're close to your time where you need to go. Is there anything else you want to say? Because I'm so grateful for the fact that AMDAPP has decided to sponsor Boys of Summer. You've said so many kind things already. Is there any reason in particular, from a mission standpoint or anything else, you're like, this fits what AMDAPP's about, or anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer when we see, like to support this. We love what you're doing, but we're proud to support Boys of Summer. It's resilience in Parkinson's disease. It's something that we tell every one of our patients. There's hope. It's built through community, and I think this film highlights really like the strength, connection, and a shared purpose that helps families and individuals navigate Parkinson's disease. And it's really all of that beyond the clinical setting, which we try to help encourage our patients and those living with this and those caring for people with Parkinson's to do as well. So you just really bring a humanity to the healthcare component, and of course, that deeply aligns with our mission.
That's beautifully said. Kelly, thanks so much for being here on the dose.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right.